Let's go. Hello, how you doing, my friends? I turned all my lights off. I think I was all done with the show for today. What's up, everybody? It's Peace, Love, Music back with another episode of the Stacks Improvement and Innovation Show brought to you by DeOrganized. We've got a great episode today. We are going to be talking more about Clarity 4 and the addition of WebAuthn, native WebAuthn, and Passkey functionality for Clarity 4 upgrade. We got a bunch of OGs here, and let's get into it. We have, I don't see Hero. I always bring on Hero first. Let's bring on, I got Hattie. Hattie, how you doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
What's up? We got GPSD in the house. Blockface is going to chat with us in the conversation here. Bryce looking nice. What's up, man? How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. How's it going?
Good. Eric's in the house. Eric, I really liked, we actually picked up your conversation yesterday. We were actually, I hope you don't mind, we were screen share streaming while you guys was that yesterday or the day before?
Oh, nice. Okay.
So yeah, it was an awesome conversation. We thought it was great content for us, and it now segues nicely kind of into this conversation too. So good stuff there.
Appreciate it.
We got Gary Reiger in the house. Gary saying he may not be able to participate much, but any contribution we get from you, sir, we greatly appreciate. And here is Hero, our Hero. How you doing today, Hero? You with us? Hero might be having some technical difficulties. Oh, there he is.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what's up? Here.
What's happening? How you doing today, Hero?
I like it. Yeah, great. Thanks for coming up. But is Rocky a good person?
Hero, you're kind of like sounds like you got some kind of like phasing issue. You're coming in and out.
Yeah.
Let's see if he's all right. He's gonna take a walk. Is Rafa? I heard he was coming on. He was on the list. We actually send him the link directly here. Cool. Would definitely love to have his, since he was the one that made the post, submit, suggesting adding this.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Hero's completely gone. All right. Well, I was normally how I segue into this is to ask Hero what his agenda is exactly, and I don't have that. That's okay. I know that we're here to talk about Clarity 4 again. By the way, thank you guys for joining us. Always appreciate the time, and these conversations are great. I think they really are helpful for the ecosystem in general, the broader community, to get an idea of some of the technical things going on in the space. We are going to be talking about Clarity 4 today, and specifically the topic of WebAuthn and Passkey, native WebAuthn Passkey functionality added to the Clarity 4 upgrade. Who wants to go first to talk about that? Who's Bryce? You're the author of Clarity 4, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm the author of the SIP. This specific item really just came from the community. Like you said before, Rafa was the big one pushing it. So I would not call myself an expert at all in this, but I wrote the SIP and I'm implementing it. But I'm really excited to hear how people might use this thing, because there's like basically all kinds of, as I started looking into it, I realized how many use cases there are for these other kinds of signatures, basically.
So from a very non-technical fundamental position, I can kind of go into how, so our roadmap for DeOrganized, we have a really cool, MVP. Here's Rafa too. That's great.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'll make this quick. So we have a really great website, beta version, like MVP that Trippin Monkey built out for us using his Rising Tide protocol. It's creator centric. We're looking to go into our V2, and a lot of the content, even the use case, like it's going to be like you said, your user account is tied to your Stacks wallet. So you're engaging as a user with signature transactions only predominantly. There will be engagement for transactions, sending crypto, engaging with NFTs and that sort of thing. There's an identity piece, obviously, and then engaging with your audience as a creator and other tools. But there's not a lot of financial stuff involved. And it also can appeal to non-native users in some of the functionality and tools we're going to be providing. So in my understanding, we'll be able to use that. We'll be able to use the embedded wallet option for people that are onboarding that aren't really crypto native, but are familiar with Passkey functionality. So we can, and we're not becoming a custodian for them. They still have the wallet exists on our platform, but it's their wallet. They got everything in their Passkey. Their Passkey access is on their machine. It's a little safer than the enclave functionality. And I'm speaking over my head there, like the TEE. From what I've heard from people that know better than me, it's a little bit more secure than a TEE option like Privy, which is still an option in the marketplace. It's still a functional option, but it's a little bit more secure, but still easy much easier onboarding process. It abstracts away obviously the seed phrase and having to have a wallet app and engaging that way. You can just go to my app. You have a wallet there. That wallet has your stuff in it. But you're still custodian your wallet. So it's just a much easier onboarding for non-crypto native users is what it seems like to me. I don't know what the other options are. And Rafa's here, so we can actually have him speak to that. Good morning, brother. How you doing today?
Hey, peace, love. Hey, everybody. Nice to see everybody on stage. Blackface, Brees, Eric. I see you're really fit, Eric. GP, Hattie, and Hero. How's everyone?
Rafa, the last time Eric came on here, he made me jealous. He was rocking his Fact Fun tee.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, maybe I should go grab mine.
Absolutely. Actually, there's more T-shirts coming from Nobody Famous, so fingers crossed. We'll have one for everyone who needs it imperatively.
Let's go. So, Rafa, why don't you tell us a little bit about why you proposed WebAuthn? What do you see it as? What do you see it as? What's the value you think it brings to Clarity 4?
Yeah, great question. Peace, love. The short answer is, how do you onboard your mom? Is it going to be with an email? Is it going to be with your normal seed phrase that you have to write down or engrave somewhere and then hide and then lose your money? Is it going to be through a third party? And knowing my mom, the best way for her, like sometimes she even forgets her own passwords, but she never forgets the passkey of her phone or being able to scan her face. So back in February, I started looking into this, prompted by Freeger, and I stumbled around essentially Stacks not supporting that encryption algorithm to be able to securely store that passkey inside of the device secured enclave. And then I started binging on videos by the ex-co-founder of Ledger and how he had tried to jailbreak some of these devices and sort of describe the the bad and the good, the bad and the ugly around passkeys. And I really thought that this could essentially, me as a builder, I'm not going to lie, squeeze everybody out. I'm able to go from the app directly to the users from their device. And that is huge. It removes any sort of need to integrate any sort of third party or that doesn't have any open source code, or the complexity around managing the seed phrase itself and the wallets and all these things that I would still have to learn. Well, here I can just simply use that passkey, which is supported by all of our devices today. You can pay with your credit card. More than 1 billion users have actually tried the Passkey system. So that's essentially it. The goal is to onboard my mom, and she's going to be able to scan her, Passkey really easily, and in the background she'll have a, decentralized Stacks wallet governed by her device.
Love it.
It sounds obvious. It also kind of, because one of the other solutions there would be custodial wallet, where they're logging in with a log on and the wallet exists on your app entirely, and you're storing their keys, and now that's obviously a lot more risk to the provider at that point. You don't want to be a custodial provider if you can avoid it. That's kind of like the opposite. So it still allows self-custody, but you get the
absolutely that is a great point
in the wallet.
Yeah, exactly. So that is really key, because we've seen, like, through the years, finance has become very regulated. There's all sorts of rules not to be essentially a custodian. Like, you have to go through all sorts of AML, KYC. It's very, very it's technically very difficult to comply with these rules. And here, the user owns their own key. They're not trusting a third party, even though perhaps somebody in the panel can describe some of these third party solutions. But for me, as a native crypto, I think that this is sort of like two paradigms colliding, and we're enabling sort of normies to become one of us, in the sense that they will own their own key. I would potentially see this as more like of a hot wallet to start with, because there could be some issues at the edge if you synchronize your device and your passkey goes to another device. But apart from that, this is really secured. Like, it's stored inside of the enclave of the device, and Brice and Eric or anyone who wants to add on into the security assumption and so on. But from my understanding, this is really world class.
So, Brice, Eric, you guys have anything based on what we've been talking about? What's your guys' opinions, and or what can you guys add?
Hey, Rafa, can you? Yeah, so I haven't done too much research into this signature algorithm. I have like a high-level overview of like kind of how SECP, well, it's called SECP 256R1, which is kind of like an improved or enhanced government version of SECP 256K1. That's what it seems like. But can you walk through the flow of what you were envisioning of how to onboard your mom, and how this new signature algorithm in Clarity fits into that whole flow process?
Yeah, so from a user's perspective, not too technical, I'd say, today you can compare this with other apps. Like Pump Fund has a good app, and the onboarding process is really good. You can buy crypto with Apple Pay, for example, and just one click away from having crypto in the system. Here it would be similar, I guess. The user signs into the app. It can be a mobile app. Usually users love that, but it can even be a web app, which means that you don't even need the permissions that you usually do with iOS and Google Store. And when you sign up with your passkey, essentially the passkey is stored, the public passkey is stored inside of the contract itself. So the contract is being deployed in the background. People like AI-BTC are doing something similar where they deploy an AI agent contract principle, which is providing the user some sort of levers on how to parameter what can be done inside that smart wallet, and also gives the agent another sort of user principle, but this time managed by the AI-BTC team, can essentially assist the user on their behalf. But long story short, you connect yourself on the app. It deploys a smart contract wallet, a Stacks contract principle with your passkey public key inside of it. Every time you sign with your passkey, it verifies inside the code, thanks to all the wonderful work that the core engineers and Brice are doing. And Stacks now can read that, okay, yeah, this signature corresponds to the private key using the public key, and then using simple clarity code, it can do whatever you imagine it can do, which, for example, is just transferring an amount of Stacks, an amount of stablecoin, USDA, USDH, an amount of wrapped Bitcoin such as SBTC. And that's how you onboard your mom. You could invite her in a way, like you could invite her to connect and you've already prepaid an amount of Bitcoin. Or you could pair the service with an on-ramp service like Apple Pay or something else. And if they support Stacks or Stacks Asset, then your mom can simply use her credit card, and then it debits the fiat and credits her smart contract wallet on Stacks with SBTC. And then from now on, that smart contract can even be represented as a credit card itself inside of her Apple Pay. And in the same way, she goes to the store and she pays with her Apple Pay credit card. Now she can pay with her Stacks smart wallet credit card, so to speak.
So can this be done with Privy or Turnkey already, like with all this Apple Pay and all this stuff? Is the difference I'm trying to understand? Is the difference that it's more secure because it's native support, so you don't have to rely on a third party. So essentially, we can create our own native Privy, so to speak. We don't need to trust a third party's. I believe they are closed source code. They are not open source. So many of the things you're trusting them to handle. So by having Clarity 4 and native support, we can essentially create our own native Privy service. Would that be correct to say? It's not like it cannot be done today, Apple Pay via Privy, but it's that by having a native support, we are removing several layers of trust assumptions. Therefore, when you onboard your MON with Privy Apple Pay or Stacks created Privy native, it is much more secure using our own native Privy. Would that be sort of accurate?
I feel like I'm stealing the stage here, guys, but feel free to answer. But my short answer is yes. Like, you can read on Clarity, okay, this is your smart contract, it's humanly readable. This is my public key corresponding to my passkey, and my private key is stored inside my device. So I'm not depending on any third party to sort of store that private key in using MPC or using different mechanisms. I'm just trusting myself. So it comes with pros and cons. And
if I may just reword in a way that average people can understand, I think it's like basically you're giving your password away to somebody else, and you have to trust that person to handle that password in whatever their secure implementation is, but that password is still handled by somebody else, not you, not your own device. So if we have native support, that password is in your device, it's not touched by a third company, third party, right?
perhaps you can compare it with emails. Like when email came out, it was very peer-to-peer, and then you have like these big providers that started giving away all sorts of storage and benefits, and now almost everyone used them. But I'm curious what Brice and Eric and others in the on stage here think about it. But yes, for me, it's cleaner. Like it's more elegant. It's more directly to the user. It would still remain a hot wallet in the sense that, yeah, you would want more robust mechanisms that already exist for larger amounts, such as just like a multi-sig or your normal stacks derivation path and so on, or even Bitcoin.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I brought Rocky here and Blockface is Rocky has experiences in other ecosystem using some of those solutions, and other ecosystem have smart contract wallet and etc. So I would love if Rocky can share his experience on how he onboarded his friend. Rocky, if you're there.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
His mom, not his friend. The goal is the mom, because
Yeah.
your UX is so freaking good, because your friend can be onboarded to Stacks almost today. It doesn't. We don't know if they will stick around, but if you're able to onboard your mom,
hold on.
Everybody.
Your mom is the goal, because that's obviously if your mom can do it, everyone can do it. But your friends are actually going to be more engaged users than your mom, and it is easier to onboard them with this method, or any less friction onboarding method is good right now. You need to onboard.
I challenge anyone in this panel to onboard their mom as soon as we have Passkey integrated into Stacks, and I think that if they onboard it to whichever app, I think that app has a good chance to onboard the masses.
Definitely a good analogy. But it's broader than that. It really is.
Let's hear from Rocky. I want to hear his experience. Just give a bit outside perspective, from outside the Stacks ecosystem perspective.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Loud and clear.
Check. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm loving everything you guys are saying. Hey, Rafa. I know you're a big fan of passkeys, so we're trying to get it done. But last night, Mohan on our team and Blockface and I just playing around with Turnkey and doing a simple demo and playing it out. So we successfully sent one STX from my personal wallet to the new Turnkey wallet. So it's on mainnet. We'll show off some demo videos later on. But to answer the question directly on what is the experience like on other blockchains, on other applications that we played around with. We had the chance probably 6, maybe 8 months ago to work with the ARC team from the Solana side. And so around 8 months ago, there was that crazy AI agents hype, agents on chain, right? All the AI tokens were really taking off, right? And so they commissioned us. They were like, okay, there's so many other projects out there. How do we have an edge, right? And so we looked into just normal AI automation Web 2 products, right, that were out there already. And we made a safe bet on N8N. And then N8N is pretty much all over YouTube now, right? A lot of people compare them to what OpenAI ChatGPT came out recently this last week on their agent builder, right? And so we kind of did some competitor analysis and dissecting, and we figured that they were using React Flow as their way to do agent drag and drop node-based builder UI experiences, right? And so we paired that experience with their Rust-based sort of automation to backend, right? Very performant. They're looking to cater to enterprise and sort of looking for domain expertise, right? But they were like, okay, we're doing this whole AI agent thing, on-chain agent thing, but how do we actually onboard people who are already using tools like Zapier and N8N who don't really want to worry about seed phrases, right? They lose that. They lose access to their automation or their bot wallet, right? They don't want to worry about that kind of stuff, right? They really just want to experiment and figure out what this on-chain agent thing, how does it even work, right? And so the partners at ARC, they were looking into Privy. And so we looked into Privy and we did the build and integrated Privy with them. with the flow builder, and it worked out really smooth. Aiden on our team, he had a great DX developer experience working with that, and documentations were clear, and we got it working and delivered it on time, and everything went really smoothly. Be able to just spin something up without having to worry about the seed phrases and wallet creation. So
One question for you, Rocky, maybe. Using that solution, do users have to worry about gas fee management?
Yeah, so from so a little bit on my background, if you haven't heard me talk on Spaces before, but I've been working in e-commerce for like 11 plus years, right? And one of the things that typically drops the user is like any kind of shipping. No one wants to play shipping when they shop. They don't like seeing fees, right? Sometimes even if you start enabling taxes into your calculations on e-commerce, you'll see a drop in conversions as well, right? And so my take there from a consumer perspective, from a user perspective, is that if there was any way for you to subsidize the gas, it's most likely going to improve your conversions from a user perspective, right? So maybe just bake that into the costs, of your overall product, right, from the e-commerce store side, and then configure some kind of like stipend or some kind of spend in the wallet where let's say it's like, oh, if you transact a total of like $1 worth of gas, it's free, right? So it's not free forever, but just to get them through the door to try out your product, to buy your product. And then once you figure that they're a loyal customer, right, and you're able to capture what in e-commerce you call like AOV, or like average order value, right? So it's like they're buying more, you're getting more margin, right? You're making money off of this customer long term, right? Then you can kind of like subsidize maybe some more gas if that's in sort of your margin calculations, right? These are all like revenue number type things, but if you're able to do that for the users, it's way better for conversions versus showing that little bit of gas in the checkout.
That was it. You know who we haven't heard from yet? 2 people, actually. 3 people. Well, I was going to say this guy right here, Blockface. I'd love to hear what you have to say in compliment to Rocky.
I feel like Web3 is about to catch up with Web2 with this experience. I have the benefit of having seen the demo that Rocky's going to share in a bit, but you have your phone, you click login, it says you want to use Passkey. I click on Passkey and I scan. If I'm on my MacBook, I scan my fingerprint, and then I see my Stacks wallet that's compatible on the mainnet. And I've never experienced that before, but my overall feeling is that from 2009 and 2025, we've been catering to innovators and early adopters. And right now we're crossing the chasm into the early majority. Now, the early majority are different than the innovators and early adopters, because innovators and early adopters use technology because it's cool. But who we want to market to now, right, according to the Stacks roadmap, are people that use things because they're usable and useful. So useful is one thing, like generating yield. Usable is it ergonomic for your mom? Your mom is the conversation topic today, right? What a surprise, talking about your mom on a serious subject like today, but it's true. And so how do we match the experience your mom is used to in Web 2 and Web 3? I see that future, having seen what Turnkey can do with the just tap. It's almost like thumb-driven design. And soon the thumb's going to go away with the glasses and things like that, with voice becoming the interface. But I see with Turnkey almost looking like a more powerful Privy in a way, by the way they use their... I'm still figuring out this real granular detail between trusted execution environments and enclaves. That's still something I'm looking at, but to be able to thumb tap login, finger scan passkey. This embedded wallet feature where the wallet falls away into the background and the user focuses on their one task per screen. I think that's where Web3 has its Web2 moment, where we were, because people have, if your mom has trouble with one password, now we're asking her what, to do another 20 passwords? Yeah, that's a great experience. Thanks, Mom. So I think for all of those reasons, things like Turnkey are bringing Web3 payment experiences to Web2 quality, which is really what we need to onboard people like, that's right, your mom. Thank you.
I think the real honest question is, do we want our moms in the same industry that we work in?
Not this one, the one we're building.
We want it to be. We want the industry to be abstracted away, so mom doesn't know anything about it.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Mom is going to trust their sons in terms of how to be onboarded and their UX. If the UX is bad, the son there's nothing that the son can do for mom to be onboarded. But if UX is good, then that's great. So I think like mom will not care. Like it depends where she's located on the world, right? If she's in a Western country, there's no censorship and so on, because there's a question by Hattie in the chat. But Turnkey is great too. The only difference is, again, the seed phrase, like the passcode, the password is managed through a sophisticated way by a third party instead of being stored in the enclave of the device. So we have to also think of recovery mechanisms. Perhaps your recovery mechanism can be your friends, and I think Ryder is doing a great job. Shout out to Louise and Marvin Jensen, who's a gigastar in Stacks, and they do it via your friends. And you could imagine the same mechanism where if you lose your passkey inside your device, maybe inside a smart contract, there's a way for other people who you've designed, who you designated, to be able for you to find a path towards recovering your keys. And I think that's that I can see, rather than the email. And then, have you tried recovering your account with Twitter? Or I think the topic also Hattie is bringing is censorship in other countries, and how sometimes they censor IP addresses, and probably FactFun is not available in Nigeria, and people need to use a VPN or something. And Telegram was censored, and if it is probably still censored in Iran and in Russia, and the way they do it is they rotate the IP address to allow for these users to still be able to access the service, which gives them a voice and free speech. And Bitcoin in and of itself, how do you censor it from a government's perspective? Do you censor it, or do you embrace it? Because everybody is kind of embracing it. So in terms of your mom, as a son, I would advise her to, I'm obviously biased, but I would advise her to have it in her enclave, and then it gives her more power. Like if she's being censored or if she's being threatened, maybe she can count on her own friends to recover her keys, and she feels more sovereign in a way, and it makes her a part of it. Like she is able to taste it, and at the same time have that UX that flows, that is easy, with which she's familiar every day. Every day, is she typing her email password, or is she just scanning her passkey? Likelihood she's scanning her passkey.
So, question for Bryce on this. In going ahead and implementing this new signature algorithm called SIP-256R1, are there any, I guess for lack of a better word, overhead implications for adding the signature in the Clarity code base? And would this open the doors for adding more different signature algorithms in Clarity later on?
Yeah, sure. So the first question, like overhead, No, I don't think it really adds anything. Like, obviously, there's some cost when you actually use this thing to verify a signature, but it should be on the same level as the SECP-256K one support that we have now. And actually, as part of this change, so the library that Stacks Core uses right now to do the K1 verification does not support the R1 curves. So as part of this implementation, I'm bringing in a new library from Rust Crypto, this is now going to be a native Rust library, whereas the previous one was a wrapped C library. So this native Rust library is actually probably safer than the wrapped C version. And we'll use that for both the old K1 signatures and these new R1 signatures. So, but yeah, and then as far as future curves or encryption models go, I guess this is just kind of like one more time practicing adding something. So I would imagine the next thing we add would be some like resistant crypto. What's the word I'm looking for? Prepared for the future when we're when these algorithms might get cracked by some some device that is being built right now. So yeah, anytime like practicing adding these things is always good. And to kind of just to clarify the details of it, all that's actually happening in Clarity is just one new function is being added that can take in one of these signatures from your passkey or your YubiKey or whatever, and just validate that it came from a public key that you want to check against. And everything else that Rafa and Rocky and Blockface are talking about is now able to be built around that because of this new key verification function. So it's actually really simple what's being added into Clarity itself.
Just to build on Eric's question, I think in the forum Marvin had a similar question, so I just want maybe to read it to you. He says it would be cool if Clarity had generic ECDSA functions with the ability to set ECC parameters yourself. So I don't know what that means exactly in details, but it seems that he had to choose like SCCP 256 R1 or K1 instead for a writer because of the fact that Stacks didn't support essentially P256.
Yeah, so I'll try to answer. I'm no cryptography expert,
ECC
but
is elliptic curve cryptography, I imagine, huh?
yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
good.
And my gut reaction would be that like we could give too much. If you give too much rope to the developers, you could choose bad parameters and end up with insecure signatures. So that's sometimes it's better to limit what can be done so that you're kind of forced into these known standards. So the K1 is obviously what's used in Bitcoin. R1 is what's used in all these other places, and what at least used to be recommended by various governments. So it's probably best, unless you really know what you're doing, to stick with those kind of known selected curves.
So the one that, so just to just understand what you're saying, the one that we selected or you guys selected is a pretty battle tested curve.
Oh yeah. So
Great.
the one that's been in Stacks from the beginning, the SECP-256K1 is what's used in Bitcoin, and then this new one that we're adding, the R1, is like everybody's been describing. It's used in passkeys and YubiKeys and hardware security modules. All these different things use this one. So they're both very well battle tested, and the library that we chose was carefully validated, and we ensured that we're choosing something that's been heavily reviewed and used.
That's awesome. I think that's really, I'm really glad to hear that. Why don't we show a bit of demo? So now let's visualize what the future could be. Blockbase, show us how it's done. How to onboard your mom.
I shall defer to the unofficial experience design officer for Stacks. Rocky, go ahead.
Yeah, let me see if I can share my screen here.
There you
All
go.
right.
You're up.
Take a look at my very beautiful landing page that we threw together. Please do not go to this website. This is all testing purposes only. So let's see if we can actually create. I just created a new wallet while we were talking here, but let's create a new one, right? So we just kind of go in. This little pop-up shows up, right? Assuming we don't have a login yet with Passkey, let's just go sign up with Passkey. This little thing will pop up.
So
I'm
I don't
gonna
even need to enter my email. I just create
No,
an
if you have
account.
your phone and it supports Passkey, you can save it directly to your password manager, right? So I'm on an iPhone. It's checking on my phone right now. Then it spins up a wallet. And there you go.
Wow.
What kind of phone does your mom have, Hero? I'm curious, because she definitely is not on her laptop every day, but on her phone likely.
She has, I think Samsung, so probably supports fingerprint and Face ID.
Yeah. So right now it doesn't have like an actual like Stacks wallet yet, right? So at least in this UI, you can always program it where, maybe if you create like a user profile on your application, it could create the wallet for you. But in this case, just going to make a new wallet, and then you get a wallet address. There's a QR code if you want to, send me some STX and test it out. But in this case, you can also withdraw it by pasting in your recipient Stacks address. The amount. We'll probably have to include some support for SBTC next. Would love
So
to see
that's
that.
probably like potentially like you can withdraw to an Xverse wallet where you actually have your more secure C-phrase wallet, right?
Yeah, if you want to send the money out to another wallet that maybe the seed was generated sort of more manually, if you wanted to, I'm not going to click on it, but you can actually click on this export wallet and it'll give you your seed phrase. And I actually tried it out last night. So the wallet that's created in here is just like any other Stacks wallet, right? So you can go to your Leather wallet, your Xverse wallet, punch in your seed phrase, and it'll load the same information in your other wallets as well. So you can use them both at the same time.
Yeah.
So for example, let me log out of this one, right? And I want to log back in. So I want to log back in to another account, the first account, the first, I call it the Turnkey Test 1 wallet. That was the first one we created last night as part of the test. Let's load that up. And so here you go. That is the one Stacks that I sent myself from my Xverse wallet to this address.
So to create a wallet takes 2 taps. One, passkey. Second tap is to create that wallet from fresh.
Yeah, and you can probably program to, and maybe Bryce, you can confirm that, but I imagine you could just spin up a already made sort of Stacks wallet with the user experience if you want to take out that extra click to create the wallet as well.
And this one you can send your one. This is on testnet or mainnet? Mainnet, right?
This is on mainnet. I tested
So
this
you
with
can
Leather.
send this one STX to somewhere else right now.
Sure, you want me to send this to you?
Yeah.
I just sent. How do you have to refresh the screen to see if?
Let's
I
see.
just sent you an STX.
I don't know. I may have to relog or something.
It could be the system's a little slow this morning. We got.
So I wonder whether there's a world where you can just tap passkey to log in, and already there's a bit of gas fee for you to use.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I have not looked into Turnkey at all. Can you explain a bit like what's happening? Where is this secret phrase stored here in this model?
It's just using the standard template that was in the docs for Turnkey.
Okay. So we'll just have
to I think for more context, so Turnkey, they have like their own entire infrastructure for lack of a better word, securing users' keys, right? But they don't necessarily have access to those keys. The guest that came on the live stream yesterday, he kind of went a bit more into how it works.
Okay.
But it's also like leveraging TEEs, trusted executable environments, But essentially, in this example, what Rocky is showing is that the private key that the passkey is associated with is securely stored somehow and in some way. I don't know if it's like it's definitely not stored in its raw format, but it's always associated with that passkey associated with the user. And turnkey, like they don't have the ability to access that particular key as well. So,
Eric, I think just to build on that, usually I haven't read turnkey, but usually they use this multi-party computation, where the several entities are required to be able to reconstitute that seed phrase. I'm sure you guys know MPC, like the multi-party computation. Usually, like some of these providers, they use that technology to divide sort of that responsibility of storing the seed phrase in between multiple parties. And it's pretty fast it's very, very fast to do so. Yeah.
So I did a bit of ChatGPT. Turnkey apparently is the key is shared and encrypted. Turnkey's infrastructure holds one part, the user or enterprise holds the other. Full key material never exists in one place. So it sounds a little bit like a threshold signature type of approach, it seems. So it is multiple people. But whereas Privy, it's stored in a local device, secure storage, such as secure enclave, but Privy can store an encrypted shared or recovery share in its backend to allow async between devices. So actually, I had this question to Boom Wallet because they are doing some implementation already, and they do come across this issue of if you want to have more than one device, because it's secured locally. Like I can't just log into my browser with the same like login. Like I have to create a new one. It's just not the same login experience as Web2 because I can use my Gmail login, on any device, it'll work. But if you store your key locally, you can't do that. So you almost have to store it somewhere in the cloud so that all the different devices can access that in order to have a Web2-like experience. So I think that's the trade-off. If you store it locally versus like turnkey, perhaps their method is more on the cloud somewhere, or like shared, but on the cloud.
Yeah. And then so the alternative, which I think maybe is what you're pointing to, Rafa, is that the wallet itself is actually a smart contract, and in order to spend, you're signing with your passkey and then sending these R1 signatures into the contract and validating them.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, I'm not entirely sure whether for a wallet we want to be able to have that smoothness, like meaning like synchronize across devices and so on. Sometimes you want your data to be more attached to a device. As long as you have a recovery mechanism, and I think that the Rider approach is a great one. I don't necessarily see, a wallet in the same way as an email or something I can synchronize everywhere, because it's money in the end. So this gives me the impression of really controlling it. And don't want to be pedantic, but you'll be able to deploy your wallet with your passkey, because sort of the app provider will deploy that contract for you right away. And they can just send some gas fees. They can just take care of the gas fees as well as part of the service. And you are still sovereign. If you want to move out of that service provider to another one, you'll be able to do so. You're still the one who governs what happens in your wallet contract principle. Yeah, for me, it sounds like Rocky. Whenever you're ready to upgrade, let's talk and make it happen. I'm just joking. I think it's still a great solution, and they are having a ton of success. But it's just my philosophy is more try and give the user that sovereignty, in a smoothest way, or at least having the option. And that's just an entry point, by the way. And you said, like, do we want our mothers to be onboarded to our industry? My answer is categorically yes, Eric, because I want my mother to understand Bitcoin. I want her to be able to get some Bitcoin really quickly. Currently, it's trendy, right? Because finally, governments are starting to chase it, etc. So I think, to provide that service, like, use your credit card and gift card Bitcoin to someone who will really own it is a little product that I think could gain some momentum. But I do see that your approach is really, really clever in just targeting people who are already there, who are already using, and this is more far-fetched. But you could imagine, onboard VCs as well, using, two authentication processes, so they can also double sign with their passkeys in a multisig. Just to throw an example.
Yeah. What about Blockface commercial, from the commercial side? How much just to give people a bit of context? How much did Turnkey raise, and also who bought Privy?
So this was an interesting thing. We were looking at the maybe the key, there's a turnkey hackathon happening on DoorHacks. I think I first heard about it through Rocky and Eric, right? Because Eric pointed out how important turnkey might be for this, bringing Web3 to your mom. I don't know what we call it. I think we're going with that now. So, we had some discussion on Twitter to understand what that really is about. Rocky asked me to do a deep search with Manus, if you've ever used Manus to do deep research. And I looked at all of the different use cases. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen and just give you a little overview. So this is what might be, again, just looking at what is how do we compare Privy and Turnkey? Are they the same? Are they different? If they are different, how so? So this is just some details on the market here. So Privy, who is using Privy? These companies, Hero? Hyperliquid, right? So these are companies that are already using Privy.
I see your screen.
Oh, you can't? Oh, my mistake. That's weird. Okay, let me try it again. Oops. Encore une fois.
Oh, sorry, dude.
It's okay. So at the Behest for Rocky last night, when we were looking at this, we wanted to understand, again, we have Privy and we have Turnkey. Both represent solutions that make it easier for your mom to interact with the world that we're in right now. And so if you go through this, I'll share it after this stream, but it's in the private chat. You can see these companies use Privy. Right, so that's just to give you an idea of the companies that use this technology for their most basic of functions. And I think you asked how much funding Turnkey got. And I believe if I go Control F, Stripe. So there you go. So Stripe is buying everyone up, and this we should expect to continue along in the future. So is this a problem worth solving, a job to be done, something that people are focused on? Yes, absolutely. Web 2 is lining up to try to own this side. And I think that's what Rafa is interested in as well, because Rafa and people like Crypto Dude are interested in kind of what I call freedom-oriented development, right?
Yeah.
That's right. And so, but, if we look at Privy, the largest players in the game are availing themselves of this service. And if it is true that Turnkey provides an additional layer of kind of programmatic security that may not be in Privy, the writing's on the wall for turnkey and solutions like it.
Yeah, I think it's very clear just from outside of Stack's market validation perspective, this technology is being deployed, is being used, and it is something that if we want to stay in competition with all this other chain, I think it's just a necessary feature that we need to have. Yes, you can do it today with Privy. There's a workaround, right? But I think so you can actually do it today, and Dan is already doing it, running in with emails. You don't have to have create C phrase, and you can use third party like Privy and other people. But I think adding more options for ourselves, in addition to using third party, it gives our builders the ability to choose. And maybe because we don't have as much like functionalities, because we essentially need to build a preview like stuff from scratch. And there's probably SDK to be built and different stuff to be built. But I think at least we're setting the foundation on the ground for a fully composable smart contract wallet to be developed, which will be, or hopefully will be, more secure than Privy. And maybe we will have a new Privy on Stacks. So I think it's just a no-brainer to do in Stacks, since it's not like a unproven concept, like unfunded feature that nobody wants, right? You can clearly see the market validation somewhere else. So for me, it's just a really clear, like, we should have it, and we should have it as quickly as possible, and we should get it to the hands of the builders so they can start playing around with it. And I love the recent effort of the turnkey stuff, because I think it really draws eye to what the possibility can be. And shout out to Rocky, who demonstrated this. I'm surprised how fast you can create a wallet now. This is really insane. And yeah.
Shout out to one of our other indie devs in the community. He goes by the name of iAtomic1. So he was the one that first brought up turnkey to me back earlier this summer, because he was trying to use it within Stacks. And that led to the conversation of, okay, well, how can you actually use Stacks with turnkey? We were able to find a workaround with it, basically piecemealing the code together, and then eventually having turnkey add a Stacks guide in their documentation, and then leading to this current ongoing turnkey builder challenge. So yeah, shout out to iAtomic1, if anyone who knows who that is. He was the one that basically introduced me first to turnkey, and how it's now possible to use turnkey or any other embedded wallet solution with Stacks. So
I would love to see like a hackathon based on Clarity 4 going live, and people creating something around our own native solution. I think it would be a great exercise to get, because builders are really in their own zone. They are really focusing on their own priorities, and we need to catch their attention a little bit. Just get them like a bit of a taste what it could be, and when they actually hands-on leveraging this functionality, I think they will start to understand, wow, this is like night and day difference. And I think they will automatically up that feature on their priority workflow. So I think just a suggestion.
I've got another quick question. This one's for Bryce, going back to what he mentioned about using a native Rust crypto library for this implementation.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you mentioned how it's safer than how we're currently using a wrapper library for the K1 signature algorithm. So I guess the question is there a more safer alternative or a safer library for using the K1 signature scheme in Clarity?
Is there a safer one? No, I think this is the best one that we are aware of. So
Gotcha.
Joey Yandel, who's a cryptographer, he's focused on cryptography. He went through and audited all the existing libraries and found this to be the best one.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So we're going the way of Web 2 and oxidizing our language with Rust.
Yeah,
I like it. Is that because of the safety and all of the other benefits that everyone else is moving from C to C++ to Rust? Is that the motivation?
Yep. Yeah, you can basically just kind of eliminate a whole class of problems with
Yep.
Rust versus what you might have in C. Which not that the library that we were using was unsafe, like it was very well audited and all that as well. But if we can use one that's pure Rust, we're gonna prefer it.
Yeah, as a vibe coder, I am learning to appreciate developer experience for the first time, you know, and the ergonomics of developer experience. And I think that if we are competing on the basis of making it easier to program money, right, then this developer experience that we went on with Clarity, I think of all the things Stacks has created, Clarity is probably one of the most fundamental, you know, and making that easier to program, maybe for mom's nephew, is how we bridge that gap.
So
yeah, definitely. I think developer tools and like clarity, clarity in the language design and documentation and stuff is all really important so that we can get as many builders as possible doing cool stuff with all this, everything we're adding.
Did Mom's nephew see the latest that Rosar published? He's got a tutorial, sort of teaches people to vibe code, and perhaps Mom's nephew can upgrade their tool set and become more than a vibe coder, like a Stacks dev.
You know, to clarify one thing I said before, sure, I would love my mom to be invested in crypto and Bitcoin and Stacks. I just don't want her to be in the same live streams as me every week.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I think we're probably all on the same page there, man. And I appreciate the clarification there, because I think we all knew what you were saying, you know, but that's a good way to kind of circle back to that. Dan makes a point here, and I want to shout him out in the Dan T's in the live chat. He says, I think we need to point out that Passkey is not the be-all, end-all solution to onboarding users. There are many other considerations that users expect. How do you handle recovery? How do you handle multiple accounts without terrible UX? Do businesses' apps really want completely anonymous users? Some do, you know, and to that last point, some do, or some are happy to have that if that's what the users want. You know, and that's part of the user experience too, is having the choice there. But would love to hear your guys. Like, I tend to, without being the technical background side of things, Dan's right. This is not obviously going to be the solution to all of our onboarding problems. There's a lot of other things that need to be sorted out, but it is a step. You know, it's a step towards bringing Web 3 to Web 2.
Yeah, so I think I can take that one because I'm the one who's probably most excited about this feature and grateful for the engineers to have included it. Peace love. So I would say if you go in the street and you try to onboard moms, you know, we usually see this in social media. So they have their phone. How long is it going to take for them to go through the process? And how many steps will you have? So we're talking about your mom. So likely, again, I think I agree with Dan that, you know, there's a long way until all of our moms are going to be onboarded. But the sooner we get there, the better. And this is going to be very simple. Like, I'm in the street, she's got her phone, it's a web app. There's no need, like any builder can build that smart contract wallet with their Passkey. They don't need to go through approvals and so on for stores. And then she's going to sign up, log in with her Passkey. It's going to deploy a smart contract wallet. That's it, finished. No seed phrase, no several steps. The Passkey is already used. If you look at Xverse, it's already used through the seats, through the different steps when someone is being onboarded. But this is going to be the only step, and she's got her feet in the door with a hot wallet, perhaps limited amount that she can control, and then she can start using her sovereignty wallet. And
So,
then
last
for
word from
recovery,
me.
I think, yeah, for recovery, we talked about it. And then last point, like multiple accounts. You know the meme, the sailor, how many chairs are you sitting on? That would be my last word. Sorry I cut you off.
Yeah, so putting my governance hat on, I know Bryce is very deep into this side as well. We're always looking for, people to contribute to SIPs, and people contribute to conversations, people bringing ideas. So I just want to say a big shout out, big thanks to Rafa bringing attention to this, because without you bringing attention to this, probably wouldn't have happened today. It'll probably be down like next year sometime. So I just think from engaging with community perspective, this directly came from community, right? Because Rafa is like boots on the ground, like DJing all the other stuff and seeing what other ecosystem are doing. And I just think it's really important to make sure these kind of ideas bubbled up, good ideas bubbled up, and gets the attention of the core developers. And we should really encourage this conversation to keep happening, keep listening to the builders, what they want, observing what other ecosystem are doing. We're learning a lot, from other ecosystem too, what's worked already. We don't need to make the same mistake. So big shout out to Rafa. Without you, this really wouldn't have happened. And I propose putting Rafa on the author list of this SIP. So I think would be a great way to honor your contribution.
Well, thanks, but I think that it's the entire ecosystem that needs to have a shout out. Freeger put me onto this, and I thought this was brilliant. Then I stumbled onto this issue of a workaround and potential vulnerability. Then last day you reached out to me. We talked with Rocky. The entire ecosystem. Eric is always on the front end. Without Bruce, how are we able to build? It's impossible. And the community itself, beyond the community, everyone. I want to shout out to Rubes. Recently, we've got a big win with inclusion of SIP-10 into Deck Screener. And obviously, also, I want to shout out to the AI BTC group, who are working like relentlessly and having a launch time coming soon. And I think this is also going to be very exciting for Stacks.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many awesome things coming to Stacks, guys. We could keep this conversation going on. There's a lot to talk about here, but I know you guys I want to respect everybody's time. We're a little bit past the hour, so I think we're going to wrap up. I'm going to let you guys all have a last word. If there's anything else you guys want to add, if there's anything we didn't cross over. Start with you, Rocky. Any final words, man?
No, thank you for the one STX donation into our little test demo. Appreciate it. We're going to keep building, right? There's so many more features that we're digging through with Turnkey HQ as well. Our team is looking into a feature they call policies, but I won't go deep into that, but it's super cool. If you want to check it out, there's these things are supposed to be like smart wallets, right? Like right now we're using smart wallet technology, but it's still really dumb. Like there's really no complicated rules that you can set up, some like hooks that you can automate things with, right? These things are meant to be used for businesses and enterprise as well. And so there's a lot of security features you can build in, but it's really up to us, right? As builders in the community to really go and experiment. And also like, for me, like Stripe became super popular and useful and valuable because of developer experience, right? And so for us as Stacks and builders on Stacks, like being able to pull inspiration from tools like Privy, tools like Turnkey HQ, and make the Stacks native, like Stacks Connect or something like that, right? We're looking at, the Aptos Connect side. I'm going to talk to the guys there when I go to New York later next week, is that these different builder experiences and how documentation is written, how do we use AI to onboard developers onto new tools, like all of this, we can really pull inspiration from other places and other communities. And I think it's very valuable to the Stacks ecosystem. So I'll end there. Thanks.
Right on. I appreciate you, man. Putting a lot of work in on the UI, UX, and getting things to work together front. Really appreciate what you're doing in the ecosystem, man. Eric, I'm going to go counterclockwise from my view. Eric, any last words, man?
Yeah, I just appreciate the entire community embracing these new kind of wallet abstraction innovations. I've always been a huge crypto wallet connoisseur. So seeing this kind of stuff is always kind of interesting. It's always fascinating to learn how one can utilize a private key in so many different ways, and it can open up possibilities that many people are starting to realize within crypto. But of course, at the end of the day, I think one thing that we should also mention is that we're not suggesting people to use these wallet abstractions for their entire crypto basket, right? It's always important still to have a large majority of your crypto in cold storage. So, but yeah.
Awesome, man. GP, you haven't really had a whole lot, but I wonder if you have any perspective to share before we wrap up.
So I love that the barrier for entry is getting lowered for the newcomer, right? It's awesome. But I still want to be able to teach self-sovereignty. Be able to hold your own assets is important. So it's good to use that as a tool for onboarding, but also being able to teach them like how, hey, like you can store your seed phrases and stuff like that. Like trying to opt in and make sure that they know that there are options and there are safe ways and decentralized ways to hold your assets. So I'm a fan. I think that it's going to be great for onboarding, just like we were talking about. We're trying to onboard your mom. So go on board some moms, right? And I think it'll be a little bit easier with this update to Clarity.
Right on. And that's a great point too that we didn't necessarily touch on here. This isn't a replacement for cold storage and like deeper security. This is for hot wallet type of functionality, and onboarding more people en masse does also mean we have to actually do more in the awareness of safety and security efforts to that end. So that's a good point. Hattie, any last words? Anything else you wanted to add to this?
I think I've dropped mostly in the back. I have a problem. I like the onboarding. I like the mother thing. It just feels there's something in it that's missing, and it's around safety concerns. So yes, you can onboard somebody quickly, but where's the safety? Where are the safety nets? So those are the things I'm concerned about. And when we're talking about a US-centric app development, amazing. When we move to the European Union, Australia, the UK, we're going to have problems, and we need to consider those users, and especially in Africa. So there's a different landscape out there, so we need to understand those aspects of it versus the US, where you have data could potentially be under freedom of speech, where in other countries you don't have that. So we need to consider that data passkeys can be used as a vector of attack to access data. So it's not about transactions, it's about your data that lies behind that. That's my only concern with this.
Interesting.
It's a longer discussion.
Yeah, we could go on probably for another hour on if we started going into that, but it's worth having. So maybe that's another episode down the line. Michael, any last words before we wrap off, brother?
Hello, my name is Michael Jackdow, and I'm a headhunter launching startups with the Syndicate. This episode of DeOrganized brought to you by your mom. What I've noticed, Hattie, is that security is a spectrum. I don't secure $1 like I secure $1 million.
Laser beam security?
I imagine that the people that we are targeting with passkeys are not going to put their deed on it. They're going to put $10 on it.
That's the way I see it too.
And the people who are looking to get onboarded, maybe have their first $0 to maybe $500 transaction, then this spectrum of security as a profile for a user, beautiful. When it's time for them to custody big boy and big girl assets, Ledger wallet, Rider. There are a lot of solutions for people who want to have a certain level of security that matches the value of the crown jewels. The only thing missing is something we haven't discussed today, which is not passkeys at all. It's what's missing from self-custody. I've had my financial licenses before. How much FDIC insurance do we get, Peace, with self-custody?
Well,
Negative.
the same amount as you have for cash in your drawer, which is
Exactly, and that's why my mom's never going to put money into self-custody until I attach crypto's version of FDIC. I'll stop there.
so we have to create an insurance, a general insurance for crypto. That's an interesting concept. Hero, what do you got for us?
Yeah, just want to address Dan's point, and I agree with Dan actually. With this upgrade, we are not saying we're going to onboard the mass, right? We're just adding the primitives in order for the developer to be able to build a more self-sovereign, more secure onboarding experience. Once that Privy-like Stacks native Privy-like wallet done by Rafa, for example, that still need to go to a business and actually get run by an entrepreneur. That entrepreneur need to go out there and push for this in order to really get it to the hands of the people. So having this function is not a direct means to say we're going to onboard like 1 million people to Stacks next year, but it really adds the primitives and the foundation. There are other things like the gas, how we're going to onboard them, like they're going to have to go and search where to buy the token themselves, or can they actually can you build a good enough experience so they can actually tap to top up their balance with their credit card inside the app? So these kind of stuff, it's not a silver bullet. Is how I would agree with Dan. There are some other things, primitives and ideas and features that still need to be solved. But I think we're heading one step in the right direction. At least keeping up with the competition. So that's what I would say on that front. And just again, big shout out to Rafa, everybody in the room for coming together. It's really important that we work collaboratively so that good idea, good conversation, good reviews happen, peer-to-peer reviews. People go into the GitHub to review what Bryce has done. People go to the Stacks forum to chime in on this conversation, like Rafa created the thread, Marvin chimed in. It takes more than just one person to make this kind of things happen. So I'll highly encourage everybody to continue to do that. And just big shout out for people who stepped up as a leader like Rafa to get it bubbled up to the surface, like this is important. And people now starting to sink in and understand this is important.
Right on. I want to also take a moment to recognize Hero and all the hand he had in this, because he brought a lot of awareness to Rafa's post. And that's the reason why I knew about it. That's the reason why I know a lot of, and he went around to a lot of people. He did a lot of legwork behind the scenes. This show, by the way, also put together by Hero. The last, the contribution you make to this ecosystem can never be overstated, sir. So I wanted to make sure that we do recognize that as well. Thank you for all that you do, including putting this show together today.
Yeah, you're a badass hero.
Here. Rafa, any last words? We're going to give it the last word to Bryce. So, Rafa.
Yeah, I think that as a community, like this is Web3, so I think that as a community, we're the ones who are empowered to onboard other people. And this is just a symbol, like onboard your mom, because it makes it very, very easy. But I think, anyone will have their own mission, and it's very difficult to generalize things. But here I see, a nephew could be onboarded as a Stacks dev, people can be onboarded to cold wallets, and I would say, onboarded to poetic life in a way. So principles and what you choose to onboard to is important. And when you create that technology, think through what you want the future to become from a first principles perspective. Yeah, and perhaps DeOrganized Media also has a great role here on onboarding people to Bitcoin, because that's what we're saying. Like Stack's first principle is to onboard people to Bitcoin, and I could not finish with like a shout out to the R&D and core engineers who are trying to make it even more sovereign to be able to sort of exit Stacks or the wrap version of Bitcoin in a unilateral way. I think that is definitely showing that they've listened to market needs, and this has huge potential. So yeah, we're getting onboarded by them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you bring. You're always cranking in the ecosystem, Rafa. Like you're on all sorts of fronts, and you're willing to help anybody at any time. So much love, man, and really appreciate the work you do as well. Bryce, so what do you think, man? You think you made the right decision including it in Clarity 4? I think so.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea. So thanks again to Rafa and to Friedger for keeping that pressure on to get it in here. Because I initially was like, nah, we'll do that in the next version. But I love all the excitement we've got around what we can build with this thing. So really appreciate all that.
Awesome.
Love the discussion today. And yeah, I get a hop so I can go finish implementing it. It's about 3/4 done right now, so I got to finish it up.
When's the vote's coming up soon, though, right? We got it out
15th of October, guys.
Yeah.
End of October?
15th.
Yeah, the target is go live is November 6th.
A week. Less than a week.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, in 5 days we'll be voting as a public. If you have your STX in your wallet, or if you have it in experts, stacking, whether it's stacked or not stacked, you can all vote. And then the core engineer are just like doing the final touches, the testings and whatnot, final review, and November it should go live. And that's when I think we should get like a hackathon together in November. Just get a bit of a buzz around it, get people using it, hacking around it, get builders to build on it, basically.
So there's I know there's a plan for a Hacker House event at DevConnect in November in Buenos Aires. So maybe I think Adam. I'm not sure who's running it, but I think it's Adam. Maybe we can incorporate it into that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's not going to be solved.
DevNet will be supporting all of this as soon as possible, so devs can start building on it. The parts of Clarity 4 that are already done being implemented are live in Clarinet's latest release, so you can start playing around with them now.
All right. You guys heard it here.
One piece of information unconfirmed, so don't quote me on this, but I heard that the winner of the hackathon currently, Rocky, might be also winning some type of traveling abroad. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but yeah, just throwing that in.
I did not hear about that.
So building for your mom can lead you abroad? Fantastic.
By the way, I mean, let's just again reiterate: onboard your mom is maybe the best marketing tagline for any time ever, because it's provocative but not. I think we should onboard everybody's mom. And
well, my friend who's a mom texted me while she was watching, and she was like, you know what, it would be a lot easier just to use the passkey. So there's that.
Nice.
Moms are chiming in right now.
Phone is blowing up with
liking passkey, guys.
That's why his alternate nickname is MH.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Coach Uncle GP.
I remember your website. It got me through a lot of lonely nights in the early 2000s. Thank you.
All right. We're getting out of this. Is not for this. Thank you, guys. We can't help but go a little bit deorganized on the show, but this was awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Really great stuff. I really appreciate all of your guys' time and participation in this and letting us do this on DeOrganized. Happy to continue for as long as you guys want us to. And Hero, again, you're the best. We wouldn't be here without you, sir.
Keep being badasses, fellas.
That's right. I am Peace Love Music. We are DeOrganized Media, coming at you live on Bitcoin Live Decentralized Broadcasting with the weekly SIP show, amongst all the other things we do. Thank you guys for tuning in today. You all have an amazing rest of your day, and we will see you on Monday. get out and touch some and get some. And thanks for joining us today. Peace out. Thanks, guys.